All right, so you've got this amazing new product or service, and it's ready to hit the market. I know you're probably feeling all the excitement, but maybe even a few butterflies too. Trust me, we're going to turn those nerves into pure launch day confidence. Think of this deep dive as your secret weapon. We're going to build a go-to-market strategy that'll make those goals feel like child's play.
Yeah, that's exactly the mindset we want. It's all about minimizing risk and maximizing your impact.
Okay, so less leap of faith and more calculated launch into success.
Precisely. A well-defined go-to-market strategy, or GTM as it's often called, acts as a roadmap to navigate that exciting, but often unpredictable journey. It's about having a plan, knowing your audience, and ensuring everyone involved is working in sync towards a common goal.
So it sounds like a GTM strategy is a must-have, not just for big companies, but for anyone launching something new.
Absolutely. It's relevant whether you're launching a physical product, a cutting-edge service, or even a whole new branch of your business.
What are some of the benefits? What makes a GTM strategy so essential?
Well, remember the Apple Lisa computer. It was packed with innovative tech for its time, but it ultimately flopped. Why? A poorly executed GTM strategy. Their marketing was off target, the price was astronomical for what it offered, and they just missed the mark with their audience.
Wow, even giants like Apple can stumble without a good GTM strategy. That's a pretty powerful reminder of how important this is.
It really is. A solid GTM strategy helps you nail that critical product market fit. It ensures what you're offering truly meets the needs of your target audience. It's about avoiding those costly mistakes and making sure you're investing your resources wisely.
Makes a lot of sense. So it's like having a blueprint in place, knowing where to focus your energy, and making sure everyone is working towards a shared vision.
Exactly. A GTM strategy helps align everyone, from designers and developers to your marketing and sales teams. It ensures everyone is singing from the same song sheet.
Okay, I'm sold on the idea of a GTM strategy. But where do we even begin?
Well, the first step is to define your buying center, which is a fancy way of saying we need to identify all the key players involved in the decision-making process. This might include the person using your product or service, the one who influences the purchase, and of course, the person who ultimately signs on the dotted line. It's about understanding who holds the power and influence when it comes to buying decisions.
So it's like mapping out the power dynamics within an organization, right?
Precisely. Once you have a clear picture of your buying center, you can create what's called a value matrix, which visually connects each persona's pain points with your product's value proposition. It's about understanding how your offering directly addresses the challenges your target audience is facing.
So we're not just talking about features and benefits here, but really understanding how our product solves real problems for real people.
Absolutely. To make it even more concrete, imagine a persona named Eddie. He's the head of operations for a mid-sized company, and he's drowning in a sea of spreadsheets, constantly struggling to keep up with a time-consuming and expensive process.
Poor Eddie. Sounds like a prime candidate for a hero.
And that's where your product steps in. If your offering can streamline that process, save Eddie time and money, and maybe even rescue him from a spreadsheet-induced meltdown, that's a compelling story you can weave into your messaging.
Okay, that makes so much sense. We're talking about showing, not just telling, how our product solves problems and makes life better. But how do we know our message is actually hitting the mark?
Testing. It's crucial to test your messaging on different platforms, like LinkedIn, Google Ads, or Facebook, and analyze the results. Look at those engagement rates, track those clicks, and see what resonates with your audience.
So we're not just guessing here, we're using data to fine-tune our approach.
Exactly. For instance, if you find certain industries are engaging more with your ads, that's gold. It tells you where to focus your efforts and optimize your ad spend.
Okay, I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together. We're identifying our target audience, understanding their needs, crafting a message that resonates, and constantly tweaking and improving based on real-world feedback. What's next on this GTM journey?
Well, next we delve into the buyer's journey. From a customer perspective, it often starts with the realization of a problem. They then research potential solutions, weigh their options, and eventually make a purchasing decision. This is often visualized as a sales funnel, but a more modern approach is the flywheel model, which emphasizes continuous engagement.
Okay, so it's less of a linear path and more of a dynamic cycle.
Exactly. The flywheel has 3 stages: attract, engage, and delight. Think of it as a spinning wheel. You attract potential customers with valuable content, engage them with targeted messaging, and delight them with exceptional experiences. The goal is to keep that wheel spinning, turning customers into loyal advocates who fuel your growth.
I love that analogy. It feels energetic, unstoppable, like we're building momentum that just keeps growing. But where does sales fit into this picture?
That's where choosing the right sales strategy comes in. There are 4 main models to consider: self-service, inside sales, field sales, and the channel model. Each has its strengths and weaknesses, depending on your product
Resources.
and target market.
Okay, can we unpack those a bit further? What are the key differences between these models?
Of course, self-service is ideal for simpler products with lower price points. Think online platforms where customers can browse and purchase independently. Inside sales, on the other hand, involves sales reps nurturing leads through phone calls and emails, making it suitable for products of medium complexity and price. Then you have field sales, which typically involves a dedicated sales team focusing on large enterprise-level deals. Ideal for more complex products and longer sales cycles.
So field sales are like the big guns, going after those high-value clients.
Exactly. And finally, the channel model involves partnering with external agencies or resellers to expand your reach, especially useful when you lack the resources for a large in-house sales team.
Okay, so there's no one-size-fits-all approach when it comes to sales. It's about choosing the strategy that aligns best with our overall GTM plan. But how do we get the word out there? How do we generate that buzz and attract those valuable leads?
That's where demand generation comes into play. We can utilize both inbound and outbound strategies.
Okay, what are the differences between those two approaches?
Inbound marketing focuses on drawing customers in organically. Think valuable content, engaging social media presence, and search engine optimization. It's about becoming a magnet for your target audience. Outbound marketing, on the other hand, is more about reaching out proactively. This could involve cold calls, targeted email campaigns, or paid advertising.
So it's like a push-pull dynamic, right? Inbound is about attracting, while outbound is about actively pursuing those leads. But what about content? I keep hearing that phrase, content is king. Why is it so important, especially for inbound marketing?
Think about it. What do you do when you have a question or are trying to solve a problem? You Google it, right? By creating valuable content that addresses those search queries, you're positioning yourself as a trusted resource and attracting potential customers. It's about being helpful and informative, not just salesy.
So instead of interrupting people with ads, we're providing value and earning their trust. That makes a lot of sense. But how do we make sure our content is actually reaching the right people?
That's where keyword research comes in. You need to understand what your target audience is searching for and tailor your content accordingly. For example, a company selling sales AI software could create different types of content depending on where the customer is in their buying journey.
Okay, so it's about understanding the stages of awareness and providing content that aligns with those different needs.
Precisely. Early in the process, you might have a blog post titled, "What is Sales AI?" which is pretty basic but catches those initial searches. Later, as they become more interested, you might offer a webinar on how sales AI can increase productivity. And finally, for those ready to make a decision, you might showcase a demo highlighting the power of your software to extract dark data.
Ooh, dark data. Now that sounds intriguing.
Exactly. It's about guiding prospects through the buyer's journey, providing the right information at the right time, and ultimately nudging them towards a purchase decision.
This is all starting to come together, but I have to ask, even with the best GTM strategy in place, things don't always go perfectly right.
You're absolutely right. Launching a new product or service is an ongoing journey, and optimization is key. We're going to dive into that after. We'll pick this back up next time.
That's good. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Until then, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of go-to-market strategies. Keep those entrepreneurial spirits soaring, and we'll see you next time.
Okay, so before we left off, we were talking about how a GTM strategy, it's not a set it and forget it kind of deal. It sounds like constant monitoring and adjustment are key to keeping things on track. So where do we even start?
Yeah, one of the most powerful tools you have
Yeah.
is your sales pipeline. Think of it as your GTM strategy's health checkup. You want to examine it regularly, look for any bottlenecks or areas where things might be slowing down.
So we're playing detective with our sales funnel, searching for clues as to why those conversions might be stalling. Precisely. Start by analyzing the volume of leads entering your pipeline. Is it steady, or are you seeing any fluctuations? Then zoom in on those conversion rates at each stage. Are leads dropping off at a particular point? If so, there's probably a reason. Maybe your messaging isn't quite clear. Or perhaps there's a snag in your sales process.
Okay, I see what you mean. It's not just about the overall conversion rate. It's about understanding the flow and identifying those leaks in the funnel. But we also talked about time being a factor. How do we shrink that sales cycle and get those deals closed faster?
Well, that's where anticipating common objections becomes crucial. You know those concerns that always seem to pop up, like pricing or implementation questions? If you can address those head-on in your marketing materials or sales scripts, you'll smooth out the process significantly.
So it's like we're proactively clearing the path for our customers, removing those potential roadblocks. But what about those leads who are on the fence? How do we keep them engaged and moving towards a decision?
Nurturing those leads is key. Stay top of mind by providing valuable content that addresses their needs and build genuine relationships. Remember, it's about showing them you understand their challenges and offer real solutions.
Okay, so it's about providing value, building trust, and staying connected throughout their journey. It sounds like a lot to manage, but definitely worth it. What else can we do to optimize our GTM strategy?
Well, customer acquisition cost, or CAC as it's often called, is always a major focus. We want to make sure we're getting the most bang for our buck when it comes to acquiring new customers.
Right, we touched on that earlier. It's all about efficiency and making those marketing dollars stretch further. But how do we actually achieve a lower CAC?
It all boils down to streamlining those processes, honing in on your ideal audience, and ensuring your messaging resonates. It's like fine-tuning a machine, constantly making those little adjustments to improve performance.
That's a great analogy. We're constantly tweaking and optimizing to achieve peak efficiency. But what about those customers we've already won over? Are they just a one-time deal? Or is there more to the story?
Here's a little secret. It's often much cheaper to keep a happy customer coming back for more than it is to convince a new one to take a chance on you.
That makes a lot of sense. So how do we tap into that gold mine of existing customers? How do we turn them into loyal fans who not only stick around, but also tell their friends about us?
It's all about building those lasting relationships. That means going above and beyond to provide exceptional service, exceeding their expectations, and making them feel like VIPs. We need to understand their evolving needs and offer them relevant upsells or cross-sells that truly enhance their experience.
Okay, so we're talking about treating those existing customers like royalty. I like the sound of that. But we've also talked about how the market is constantly changing. How do we make sure our GTM strategy is flexible enough to adapt to those shifts and stay ahead of the curve?
That's where a growth mindset becomes essential. We need to be open to experimenting, tracking those results, and making adjustments as needed. It's not about stubbornly clinging to a plan that's no longer working.
So it's not about being rigid. It's about being agile and responsive.
Exactly. The market is a dynamic, ever-changing beast. New trends emerge, competitor strategies shift, and customer preferences evolve. We need to be ready to pivot and adapt our approach, using data and insights as our compass.
It sounds exciting, but also a little daunting. Feels like there's so much to consider. But what if, despite our best efforts, we hit a snag? What if our grand launch doesn't quite go as planned?
Here's the thing. Not every product launch will be a runaway success. There will be bumps in the road, unexpected detours, and maybe even a few flat tires along the way.
So you're saying failure is part of the process, but aren't we trying to avoid that at all costs?
Of course. But the truth is, some of the most successful companies out there have faced their share of flops. What sets them apart is their ability to learn from those experiences, dust themselves off, and keep iterating.
Okay, so it's not about fearing failure. It's about embracing those setbacks as opportunities to learn and grow.
Precisely. It's about analyzing what went wrong, identifying those valuable lessons, and using those insights to inform your future endeavors.
That's actually quite inspiring. It takes the pressure off striving for perfection and shifts the focus to continuous learning and improvement. But how does the competitive landscape play into all of this? I mean, we're not launching in a vacuum, right?
You're absolutely right. Understanding your competition is crucial for crafting a GTM strategy that truly stands out. We need to know who else is out there vying for the attention of our target audience.
So we're doing some reconnaissance, scoping out the battlefield, and identifying those key rivals. What kind of intel should we be gathering about our competitors?
You want to dive deep into their strengths and weaknesses, their pricing strategies, their marketing tactics, and their overall positioning in the market. Think of it as becoming a temporary expert on their business.
Wow, we're going full-on corporate espionage. But what's the ultimate goal of all this competitor research?
The aim is to identify those opportunities where you can differentiate yourself and create a unique value proposition that truly resonates with your target audience.
I see how this all ties back to that competitive edge we talked about earlier. Yeah. It's not just about launching a product. It's about launching it strategically, understanding the landscape, and positioning yourself for success. But how do we translate all this research into action? How do we actually use it to our advantage?
Let's say your competitor is heavily focused on price as their main selling point. You might choose to emphasize the superior quality or unique features of your offering instead.
Okay, so it's about playing to our strengths and finding those areas where we can outmaneuver the competition.
Precisely. And remember, competitor research is not a one-time activity. It's an ongoing process. The market is constantly evolving, so you need to stay informed about what your rivals are up to.
All right, so stay vigilant, stay informed, and always be one step ahead. This is all incredibly valuable. But I think it would be helpful to bring it down to earth with a concrete example. Can you walk us through how this might play out in a real-world scenario?
Absolutely. Let's imagine you're launching a new line of plant-based protein bars.
Okay, I'm already getting hungry. But this market seems pretty saturated already. How do we make sure our GTM strategy stands out in such a crowded space?
Well, the first step is to understand the competitive landscape. Who are the major players in this market? What are their strengths and weaknesses? What kind of messaging are they using? And what channels are they leveraging to reach their audience?
Okay, so we're doing our due diligence, gathering intel, and getting a sense of their overall vibe and approach. What's next?
Then we analyze their pricing strategies. Are they competing primarily on price? Or are they positioning themselves as a premium offering? This helps us understand their target market and their perceived value proposition.
So we're not just copying what they're doing, we're looking for those areas where we can shine brighter. Maybe we focus on organic ingredients, or perhaps we cater to specific dietary needs that our competitors are overlooking.
Exactly. It's about identifying those gaps in the market and tailoring your offering to meet those unmet needs.
Okay, so we're finding our unique niche within a niche and crafting a story that resonates with that specific audience.
Precisely. And remember, your GTM strategy is not a static document. It should be a living, breathing entity that evolves as you gather more information about your competitors in the market.
Right. Stay flexible, stay informed, and always be ready to adapt. It sounds like a lot to juggle, but also incredibly exciting. I'm feeling pumped to tackle my own GTM strategy. But before we get too carried away, I know we have one more segment to go.
That's right. We'll be back after a short. We'll wrap up with some final tips and takeaways next time.
Looking forward to it. Until then, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of go-to-market strategies. And we'll see you next time. We've covered so much ground in this deep dive, from defining our target audience to understanding the competitive landscape. But I'm curious, is there anything else we should consider as we finalize our go-to-market strategy?
There's one more crucial element that can make all the difference. The power of storytelling.
Ooh, storytelling. I've always been a sucker for a good story. But how does that fit into a go-to-market strategy?
Well, think about it. People don't just buy products or services. They buy into stories. It's about connecting with your audience on an emotional level, tapping into their aspirations, their pain points, and their motivations.
So we're not just selling features and benefits. We're selling an experience, an idea, a feeling.
Exactly. Your GTM strategy should weave a compelling narrative that resonates with your target audience. It's about understanding their story and then crafting your own narrative that speaks directly to their needs and desires.
Okay, I'm certain to see how this works. It's about finding that common ground and building a connection through shared experiences.
Precisely. Let's say you're launching a new line of sustainable clothing. Instead of just highlighting the eco-friendly materials, you can tell the story of the artisans who crafted those garments, or the positive impact your company is having on the environment.
So we're adding a human touch, giving people a reason to care beyond just the product itself. We're appealing to their values and their emotions.
Exactly. And remember, stories are memorable. They stick with people long after they've encountered your brand.
All right, I'm convinced. Storytelling is a must-have for any GTM strategy. But how do we actually weave those narratives into our plan?
One effective approach is to use case studies to showcase how your product or service has helped real people overcome real challenges. Let those satisfied customers do the talking for you. Their stories are often more persuasive than anything you could say as a brand.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
People trust other people, especially when they can relate to their experiences.
Right. And don't be afraid to get personal. Share your own story as a founder or the journey your company has taken. Authenticity resonates with audiences.
Okay, so be real, be relatable, and let people see the passion behind your brand. What else can we do to make our storytelling more impactful?
Well, visuals play a crucial role. Use high-quality images and videos to bring your story to life and capture attention. Remember, we live in a visually driven world.
So we're thinking Instagram-worthy content, right? Those eye-catching visuals that stop people in their scrolling tracks.
Yeah. Exactly. People are bombarded with information these days. You need to make your story visually appealing and easy to digest. But don't neglect the written word, your website copy, your marketing materials, even your social media captions. They should all tell a consistent story.
So it's about creating a cohesive narrative across all channels, a symphony of storytelling, hitting all the right notes.
Precisely. Your brand's voice and tone should be consistent, whether someone is reading a blog post, watching a product demo, or interacting with your customer support team.
This has been an incredible deep dive. I feel like I've gained a whole new understanding of what it takes to launch a product or service successfully.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure sharing these insights with you. Remember, launching a new offering can be an exhilarating journey, but it requires careful planning, strategic execution, and a willingness to adapt along the way. By embracing the principles we've discussed, from understanding your audience to crafting compelling stories, you can increase your chances of success and make a real impact in the marketplace.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So to all those out there about to embark on their own GTM adventures, remember to stay curious, stay creative, and most importantly, never stop learning. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of go-to-market strategies. Until next time, keep those entrepreneurial spirits soaring.